Picture this. You're in front of your latest prospect, closing the biggest deal of your life. Your pitch decks were perfect. Your scripts, flawless. And when the time came to answer the golden question of, are you ready to move forward? Nothing happened. For everyone who loves sales, this is their worst nightmare. But fear not, because in this podcast, we're unraveling the enigma behind those missed opportunities. From appointments that evaporate to presentations that felt like a Broadway show but ended in awkward silence, we're dissecting it all. Welcome to Love Your Sales.
This podcast is presented by GenHead. GenHead leverages AI so small and medium-sized businesses can find their ideal clients to make more sales. Other companies talk about AI, but we are using it every day to drive down marketing costs and increase revenue. Learn more at genhead.com. That's genhead.com.
Welcome to another episode of Love Your Sales. I am so thrilled. I am joined by Bill Maher. He is a business leader known for his innovation and expertise in technology and healthcare. Currently holds the position of CEO at Curitiba Bay Incorporated. Maher is responsible for overseeing the production of stabilizing hypochlorous acid, a natural antiviral agent recognized for its effectiveness in fighting pathogens. Before joining Curitiba Bay, Maher successfully led a respectful electrical engineering firm with a global presence. Under his guidance, the company expanded to 5 offices across the United States and Hong Kong, solidifying its position as a key player in the industry. Maher played a pivotal role in the development of more than 6,000 critical power systems, including the renowned launch pad 39A for the Space Shuttle program. Maher's leadership and strategic acumen propelled the electrical engineering company to unprecedented success, accumulating in its acquisition by NASDAQ's List Corporation. With a proven track record of leadership and innovation, Bill continues to drive progress and excellence in the technology and healthcare sector, leaving a lasting imprint on industries that shape our future. Bill served in the U.S. Navy from 1971 to 1975, specializing in air-launched weapons specialist aboard the USS Forrestal CVA-59. Additionally, he holds a pilot's certificate. Bill, I am so happy to have you join me today.
Well, it's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So obviously I read this, little bio on you, but is there anything that I missed?
No, just that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
So why don't you tell, currently you are the CEO of Curitiba Bay. Tell me a little bit about what this business is. What do you do?
Well, it was kind of a mistake. It's nothing I planned. I had just came out of selling my company to a NASDAQ listed company, so it turned into a publicly traded company, and I left that company after about a year. And I was with a friend, and he asked me, "Have I ever heard of something called hypochlorous acid?" And I said, "No, never heard of it." And he said, "Well, there's a doctor down in Fort Lauderdale, which we're in Tampa Bay." He said, "Let's take a ride down. This is supposed to be pretty special, and he wants us to help him sell it." So we went down there, and when I never heard of hypochlorous, but when I found out that it kills all viruses, it's so safe that you can drink it. It's made out of Dead Sea salt and purified water, and we put an electrical current through it, and it brings out something called hypochlorous acid, which is in the human immune system. If you didn't have it, you wouldn't heal wounds, wouldn't get rid of colds. It's pretty important for the human body. After a couple hours, I was blown away by it. I was getting pretty excited, and then I found out that it was not stable, which means you cannot keep it in a bottle for longer than maybe 3 days, and it turns right back to salt water again. So I didn't see any future in that. The the next day I was called to Seattle for a consulting, an engineering consulting job. And I thought, well, I'll take that, it's nothing else to do. So I flew to Seattle the next day.
Nothing else to do. Sorry, nothing else to do. You just sold your company,
Yeah.
and you're how old at this point?
When I sold the company, I was like 60, something like that.
So you could have just, gotten on your boat and retired at this point.
Yeah, well, you could have, but I started thinking the older you get, the more wisdom you have, and you're thinking to yourself, well, how many times can I go drinking beer on my boat and go
Right.
play? So
So I just want to point out, this is the true entrepreneurial spirit of someone who just
well,
loves what they do and does what they love. So sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
and it was good. So I flew to Seattle, and we did the first full day in his plant, in his building, and then he invited me out to dinner, and he also brought a friend of his. Had nothing to do with our meeting, just a friend was hanging out with him. So I asked the friend, what do you do for a living? And he said, well, you probably never heard of this, but we figured out a way to stabilize something called hypochlorous acid.
Oh
And
my gosh.
I almost fell off my chair, and I thought, well, this is a divine intervention or something.
Right.
It just the odds. I should have stopped in Las Vegas on the way back. So I decided that I knew that the spray itself, I could say that it'll relieve people of acne in about 4 days. You just spray it on your face. It's like salt water, but it's not got the
Right.
hypochlorous in it. It clears up the acne real fast. It heals wounds really quick. So that was another application. And also it kills all viruses, although we make no claims about that, So um, I've never done this business before. This is a online business. We have a little store here too, but if I didn't have the experience of operating a business for 30 years, I probably would have gone out of business the first year. It was just a money hungry machine, and it was terrible at first, because I didn't have any marketing experience, no social media experience. I did things like I answered the telephone and talked to people, and they didn't even know how to. They were ready to leave a message. So it was hard. I think the first year, second year, we lost huge amounts of money,
Mm-hmm.
and we were the first people in this space, so nobody knew about it. Nobody understood. What I did. I don't do it now, sell on Amazon, but when I tried to sell on Amazon, it took them 6 months to approve it because they never heard of it before.
Right.
Now I came out and didn't do any advertising. I just basically got the sales up, and now there's probably about 15 competitors, and they're in all the beauty stores and everywhere, and I'm still just selling out of our office here. But
Right.
we're doing quite well now, and growing every day. So,
Interesting.
and
So
then there was
let's
a little stint I did between the electrical engineering business and this business. We did a lot of work in Hong Kong and China, and I found these little microscopic balls that they made out of bauxite ore in China. They're the size of a pencil tip, but if you were to take a hammer and hit them, you couldn't hardly break them. They would hold 20,000 psi, pounds per square inch, right? So I thought, my friend who was in the oil business, he was a petroleum engineer. I said, how do they open up the fractures when they fracture a well, because it's so deep? And he says they use sand. And I said, do you think we can get them to use these balls? And he said, well, let's, because they're natural, right? So
right.
we went to Halliburton, and after about a year of begging, they finally gave us a chance, and they improved their well, their production by 600 barrels a day. So we started importing. We would bring 3,000 pound super sacks, 10 million pounds at a time, from Shizhou, China, to the port city, and we'd ship it across the ocean to Seattle and put it on it. We rented a whole train and put it on a train. We were delivering 10 million pounds a month to Halliburton, Whiting Oil and Gas, and that went on for. God, the first year we did that, we did $32 million in business, just two people. And it was a fun business, but boy, it was hard. We were in the oil fields at 40 below zero, where you could
Right.
pinch your cheeks and it would stay that way and stuff. And I'm a Florida guy. So, but
Right.
we had to give that up in 2014 because they had a manipulated oil price. Crude price went from $95 a barrel down to $30 a barrel. And we were the most expensive thing on the well. We were $600,000 a well
Yeah.
for our products. So they went back to sand.
So that's 3 businesses.
Yeah.
So let's go back. So, you know, you were in the Navy.
Mhm.
Let's start with this. You got out of the Navy.
Mhm.
And did you immediately have the itch to become an entrepreneur?
No, I didn't know. I was not educated. And, for me to start my electrical engineering business, I had to be, uh, I had to have a BS degree, put it that way. And,
Okay.
but, God has given me miracles all my life. And I was my job was managing the construction of data centers. And when data centers, when the .coms were out a lot, so one of the guys I befriended took him fishing on my boat and everything like that all the time. He came to me one day and he said, "Hey, I'm so mad at these electronic engineers because we have these big power systems and they won't touch the batteries. I wish I knew somebody who could maintain the batteries." And I said, what would you do?" He said, "Well, I'd give him all my work." He's a manager of a $60 billion company. And they do big power systems manufacturing, right? So I went down Reagan was president then, and I went down and started my business in about a day for $50. It wasn't like it is now. And opened up my shop, and he came in the next day with a stack about that high of folders, and he said, "Here's all of our customers, leave us 15%. So I went out and started doing maintenance by myself on all these battery systems, right? Because it wasn't that hard.
Right.
And next thing you know, I'm by myself. And back in 1989, I was making $35,000 a month. That's,
Wow.
and then we turned that into Stationary Power was the name of the company. And when we sold it, we were revenuing 50 million. And it was so funny because when I started this business, I had a little baby. My daughter was a baby, and
Right.
I was watching her, and I was actually working in her bedroom. So I would have these old phone where people would call and I say, "Oh, I don't know. Hold on a second. Let me hook you over to engineering." And then I put it on hold and I come back and say, "Engineering," change my voice. I
Oh my
imagine
gosh.
many people could probably come up with what they did when they started their business, but Stationary Power we were in 5 states, and it was a great company. And it was purchased by a NASDAQ traded company, a publicly traded company.
Yeah.
And they ran it out of bit. They ruined our culture.
Oh no.
Ruined the culture for the customers. NASA used to come to my office and change into shorts when they were discussing change orders for the launch pad, right? And then so they went out of business in 3 years. They had not the whole company, but they had to fold the division that when they bought our company,
Right.
which wasn't cheap. And so that was unfortunate, but
Yeah, you can't continue to maintain well, if you're not willing to understand the organization and the way that it was built when you buy it, and you just go in and just start strong arming or not paying attention to the way that it was originally run, it's unfortunate that happens with companies. So how
well,
many?
college educated people, no offense to them, I'm not at
No.
all, tend to be younger when they get into these positions, and it takes wisdom.
Yes.
You have to have wisdom to think about, what do I want to change that culture to my culture, which is strictly wrong.
Right.
It is. But in fact, when I mentioned that to the board of directors and they called the president about it, he fired me.
Wow.
It's not a big deal. I didn't need to work there. I didn't do nothing when I sold it anyway. But it's like he didn't want me to go around. I've talked to him already. I said, "You're going to run this company out of business." I said, "It's 3 years. It's gone." And it was 3 years. It was
Right. Wow. And so let's talk about that, because there's a lot of young entrepreneurs that are popping up, and which is awesome. I love to see um younger people coming in and really showing what they're capable of doing. But I will tell you myself that when I was in my 20s, um I didn't have the wisdom that I have now, and I wouldn't have been able to start and maintain and run my own business. I know this of myself. Now, I'm not saying that's everybody. Um, but there is something to be said about life experience
Mm.
that cannot be taught, that cannot be trained, that cannot be in any way given to somebody else without living and going through the motions of life.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about, I guess that journey, the pains, the hardships of
Oh,
your
yeah.
previous, business, your business today.
Well, I mean, okay, so I made some mistakes that I learned from, and I would probably make the same choice if I went back. So September 11th came, and I had my core group of people were working here, and I had 5 other offices, but they were not my core. My core was here. They were all with me for 15 years. I watched their kids grow up. And when September 11th hit, and the .coms had failures, we were shorted $800,000 on jobs we did for these .coms that we had to go through and all that kind of stuff like that. And so we got in a bad way for a couple of years where it was extremely stressful. So I didn't want to lay off any of these people. And all my friends were saying, man, you're having these problems. And I went $2.8 million into debt, just keeping them employed, because I just knew that something was going to come, right? And we had to do a lot of things like they might not think about unless they had the experience. For instance, after we fixed all that problem, and we're back after we sold one division, the telecommunications division, to a publicly traded company and got some cash, was able to pay that debt off. But during that time, we wanted to get another credit line. We needed a credit line to run the business. Our cash flow was at that time was 800,000 a month.
Right.
So we had a guy, one of our best engineers, bought so much of this equipment that was the wrong voltage. We couldn't return it.
Oh my
It
gosh.
was sitting over in our other warehouse for a long, long time. And I thought, how am I going to get this credit line? How am I going to get the credit line? You got to be patient, right? So I wrote off that inventory, which is, if you're a publicly traded company, you just can't. If you write it off, you can, but you got to throw it away. We didn't throw it away. So the next year we were doing a lot better, and that voltage for that machine that we didn't need, now we needed it. So we started selling these big jobs with these new 480 volt systems, and we were realizing a lot of revenue and no cost, because we had no cost. That was written off, right? And that made our bottom line look really good, and we were able to secure a $5 million credit line.
Wow.
So it just took a lot of, you don't know how to solve the problem at first. You just have to go through it, and you have to say, do I go this way? Do I go that way? And sometimes you're right, and sometimes you're wrong. You want to make that ratio a little bit better on the right side.
Right.
So that's what, then we were lean and mean. Everybody was experienced. We beat a union up in Pennsylvania that was trying to knock us out of business. That's a long story. It was Verizon, but we finally got to a point where we were doing really well, and we had a good name, a really good name. So,
I commend you. Businesses today, and I don't want to pick on businesses today, but I'm going to. I don't want to, but I'm going to. Businesses are not like they were. There was loyalty in employees, and there was loyalty in businesses. Today, it is so not that way. There is no loyalty towards, if an employee screws up, they're quick to get him out the door and just say goodbye. Employees, the same thing. Employees are like, yeah, I don't like it here anymore. And they're just quick to jump ship. But you're talking about, 9/11, that was, God, I'm dating myself when I say, I remember sitting at work the day that happened, but that was so long ago at this point. Like and it's really funny because yesterday my husband made a comment about Janet Jackson and this incident that she was on stage. And I'm like, oh, that wasn't that long ago. And he goes, yeah, it was. This, and I'm like, what? No, it wasn't. And he goes, we were watching a show, and he goes, this kid just said he wasn't born when that happened. And I went, oh, oh my God, like there's people out there who are old enough to be like adults and they weren't born when that happened. I'm like, wow, I'm getting old. But
Yeah.
anyways, I digress. You don't realize like how long ago these things happened. Anyways, the point that I'm making is the loyalty that you showed, the by keeping your employees employed and going into debt that much, that shows an amazing culture. But wow, that's a company that I would have wanted to work at. And when you have a company that people want to work at, want to stay at, that's a company that I, as a consumer, want to work with. Because it all trickles down, right? Happy employees, happy culture usually means happy clients because they have a smile on their face when they're picking up the phone and working with their consumers, their clients,
Yeah.
so it sounds, just from the way that you described that short thing, you did have an amazing culture. And it's unfortunate when you turn around and sell that it so quickly was squashed.
Well, the culture, I mean, when you go to lay off people, you're not just laying off people and wrecking a family for a little while. You're
Right.
laying off capabilities.
Right.
And when you lay off capabilities, your companies, that's what I think some people don't realize is you're laying off capabilities. You can't get them back.
Right.
You know, you can't get the people that can lace cable and do all these specific jobs that we had. And plus, they were with me when they were, got married, they had kids. We saw them at the Christmas party and that sort of thing. So you have to have the problem with today, what I see in running this business right here, is that nobody talks to each other anymore. Nobody communicates. If they don't want to talk to you, they just don't call you. They don't answer the phone. And that's one of the reasons. It's in my company. I sat. The only job I had at the end was I sat in my office. I got the service reports from the service techs that went out to all my customers, and I called every single one of them every month, every 90 days. And we had conversations, friendly conversations, so I could keep figuring out if they were okay with what we were doing.
Right.
And I remember the customers calling me and, giving us jobs that we didn't think we were going to get. The communications was great. In this business today, you can't, everybody has to do everything electronically. They hide behind it, and we answer our phone here at this company every day. I do every day for every customer. We take care of problems just like that.
Right.
And you can see it in our reviews.
And that makes all of the difference. And you're right. People do hide behind, and it makes it easier for people to just brush conflict, brush it away as if it doesn't exist. When you're hiding behind, you and I are talking in Zoom. It's much easier for me. It's not for me, but much easier for people to be like, I'm not thinking of that person as a real person with real emotions, with real family issues, when you and I have never actually met in person.
Yeah.
Because it's easier for somebody to think that they're not a whole person when I'm only seeing you in a box.
Yeah.
And again, that's, with the whole pandemic, with businesses saying, we want you back in the office. We want the human contact. And the younger generation is arguing, well, we do. We talk this way. We talk on text. It's not the same.
Nope.
Not that I'm arguing that every job has to be done in an office, but relationships are struggling.
Yeah.
Because of that human interaction, that not Zoom human interaction, not phone human, talking about actual in-person interaction. There's something to be said from standing next to somebody and being able to see their facial expressions, their body reaction. If I step closer, do they move away? Like, are they the kind of person that doesn't like to be in close proximity? That says a lot about a personality, and to get to know that personality, it really truly does.
The human touch, we call it.
Yeah.
You need to have the human touch, and it seems like society at some point is going to spiral out of control because of it. We're getting too much technology, and not enough talking to each other.
Yeah. Yeah, I am in a pool league, and there is one gentleman who's 21 and one gentleman who's 25. And I find they always have earbuds in. Yet when I approach them and I say something to them, they respond right back. And so one day I said to them, "What's with the earbuds? Because you can hear me, you talk to me. If I talk to you, you respond, but you always have them in." And so one of them said, "Well, I'm listening to music, but really low so I can still hear." And I said, "Well, there's music in here." And he goes, "Yeah, it's not my type of music."
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, so this is the younger generation coming up, is that they walk around with their own personal music in their head. It's low enough so they can still talk. So they're like, they want to be out in society, but they also are like in their own heads.
Yeah.
It is a bizarre, like, and I don't think of myself as old. Like I'm 43 years old. I feel like I'm still in touch, but
Yeah, well,
clearly I'm not.
makes me happy to be how old I am. I've been through the best of times, so it was actually really good up until about 4 years ago. Then people started getting, we're being pushed apart in certain ways that we all know, and against each other. One's against this one's against that one, and people have no problem saying the nastiest things when all they're doing is typing it out and they don't have to see you.
Correct.
And that's turning the society into kind of mean streak, and
I guarantee that if you were to, especially when it comes to politics, especially, and I'm not going to get into any, trust me, I'm not going to start, but I guarantee that if all of the sudden you took, like, on some of these strings where it degrades into these horrible, if you were to say to all these people, "Hey, I'm going to take you into a room with all of these people that you have screamed at, yelled at, called names, and you have to stand in a room and face them," they'd be like, "No, I'm
yeah,
not going to do that. I'm not
exactly.
going to, I'm not going to."
Yeah,
But you're more than willing to say these horrible, nasty things, name call them, tell them how stupid they are for their own personal beliefs
yeah,
online.
yeah. Yeah, I think a lot's gonna change in the next 4 or 5 years for the better,
I hope
because
so.
I think a lot of people are realizing, when they see this, that we're going in the wrong direction, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah. So we're getting off topic here. I'm going to revert back here. So you've obviously, you owned a wildly successful business for many years. And so now we're going to bring this back to current. You had dinner, with a friend that now has sparked this, "Oh my gosh, I can stabilize this hypochlorous,
Of course, yeah.
hypochlorous acid." So you then went back down the path of, "I'm going to create this business." At that time, you were the only one in the market.
Mhm.
You now have competitors.
Mhm.
So let's talk a little bit more about where you are currently with, your product, and, what sparked this new entrepreneurship journey. And, let's talk a little bit more about that.
7 days a week. I'm not living the perfect life right now. It's been a difficult track, going way out of my comfort zone. We have moved probably in the last 5 years about 80,000 bottles of the product. It looks like this, and we do no advertising. We do no social media.
Wow.
We might. I think we found somebody though who's going to help us with that. But all
Good.
we've done is word of mouth. It's it. We have 4,700, roughly 4,700 customers that we know of. They're subscribers, right?
Mm-hmm.
We probably needed 20,000 to have and we're moving toward it. It's people are starting to realize what this product is, and one of the things that used to scare me is or hurt my feelings. I was expecting somebody to say, "Oh, that stuff's no good," or whatever. But We have 5-star, 100% 5-star ratings about the quality of the product and what it does. People write like stories in the reviews about, got rid of my acne. I had a sty in my eye, sprayed it in there, it was gone the next day.
That's
It's
amazing.
anti-aging. It's fantastic product. So if it wasn't so good, I would have quit it 5 years ago.
Right.
No, but what happened to me, I can tell you a little bit about what happened to me when COVID came out.
Mhm.
There's 50 years of science behind this product. It dates back to the 1800s. A scientist couldn't figure out, how do we heal ourselves inside? How do we heal our burns, cuts? How do we get rid of the cold? How does it go away? What is it? And they found that the electricity and the salt and water in your body combine to make hypochlorous. So the scientist, I can't remember what his name is, but he was a French scientist. He used electricity and water and salt to make it. So it's been around for a long time. I, looking back about about what happened to me with the FDA is terrible, because I didn't know anything about the FDA rules and regulations. And I knew, looking at the government, National Institute of Health studies over the last 50 years, proved that this stuff is absolutely off the charts, right?
Right.
So when COVID first came out, somebody must have known in Tampa at the news station and said, hey, hypochlorous, we got to find somebody who's make this hypochlorous. That's all, I can't figure out any other way. They called me one day and they said, you manufacture hypochlorous? And I said, yes. They said, well, we'd like to interview you. And I said, okay, but I can't make any claims, so don't ask me anything about claims. And they said, okay. So they came over. It was a great interview. After the interview, we were selling, like, products were going out the door. It's incredible, all local, right?
Yep.
Well, when they did the interview and I looked at it, they put a guy in there from the University of South Florida who's a doctor. They edited his interview in with mine, and they asked him about hypochlorous, and he said, oh, it kills COVID, kills all the viruses, blah, blah, blah. And then the FDA came after little old me, in a little office that was this big, and I said, well, can I'll stop. I won't make any claims, but can I get this tested? It's already been tested, but can I test it myself
Right.
and get approval during this pandemic? Because it could really help you out a lot. And they said, don't waste your time. We'll never approve this. Right. So, and then what they did was they put a warning. If you go on Google to search for my company, you'll see the company here. If you
Yep.
scroll down to the bottom, it's an FDA warning that will never come off. And that's what ruined the company, basically. It hurt the company bad, and they'll never take it off.
An FDA warning saying what?
That we made fraudulent claims about hypochlorous and COVID. We didn't make
But
any. The
you
doctor,
didn't, right. I was going to say, you didn't make any claims. That was,
they desperately did not want this out because
God.
with a nasal passage cleanser and a skin spray, well, I don't have to tell you. You can make a guess
Correct.
how great that was. It is so safe that it's just water, salt water, basically. If you spray it in your mouth, you can spray it in your mouth.
Right.
You can spray it in your eyes. You can put it anywhere you want. It's organic. It's natural, right? So it's nothing that's going to hurt you. But it's been proven to be 80 times the virus killing power of bleach.
And yet it is 100% natural. So you don't have to deal with the fumes of bleach. You don't have to deal with the chemicals. You don't have to deal with all of the things that come along with using a harsh product.
Like alcohol or some of the
Correct.
things they use in restaurants. They use
Right.
a lot of bad chemicals and the stuff
Right.
they use in restaurants to clean tables and things like that. So
Right.
So people are starting to not understand it now, and the word of mouth is going from. I mean, word of mouth is incredible. It's not
Right.
fast.
And this is where where our world is broken, and government can come in and basically say, don't believe them. And everybody goes, well, the government's saying it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So what does your future look like? And that was kind of your 30-second pitch as far as the product, because we are coming to time, but I want to give you the opportunity to also tell me, what does your future look like in this?
Well, I'd like to find at some point. I'd like to sell the company when I retire. Go do things I want to do for a change without having a lot of stuff like this on my back. or attract a partner that might want to invest and be a person that might want to invest so that we can grow that part of the company to get to where the EBITDA is enough to get a good price for the company. But I'll stay here as long as I have to. I've already committed myself to 2 more years. So I don't want to go too much further than 72 years old when I with doing this kind of stuff.
Well, you have, Bill, an amazing sounds like an amazing product. Where can somebody reach out to you to check out your product, purchase your product, learn more about it? And how would they go about doing that?
Well, our website is Curitiba Bay. It's CURATIVABAY, CuritibaBay.com. And you can reach us on email at info@curitibabay.com. And if you really want to get a hold of me, I answer the phone at 727-742-6636. So that's
And that information will be in the show notes. So if you are looking to reach out to learn more about, Bill, you're looking to reach out to learn more about Curitiba Bay, definitely go ahead, check out the show notes. You'll be able to find that information there. But Bill, your journey has definitely been one that is amazing. And I really appreciate you coming on and talking with me today.
okay. Well, I appreciate the time.
This podcast is sponsored by Sales Rescue. Ready to revolutionize your sales strategy? Sales Rescue is here to transform your business's approach with proven success. At rescuemysales.com, we turn the frustration of missed targets into the thrill of exceeding goals, empowering you to meet and surpass your sales ambitions, leading to growth and profitability. Exclusively for Love Your Sales listeners, claim your free sales consultation today and receive our Sales Rescue AI playbook. Start your journey with sales excellence now. But hurry, this free offer is only available for a limited time. Visit rescuemysales.com now. That's rescuemysales.com. Don't miss this free opportunity at Sales Rescue, where we rescue your sales so you love your profits.
Thanks for joining us for Love Your Sales. For more, connect with Leighann on LinkedIn and be sure to subscribe to the show and leave us a rating and review. We'd love to hear what you think. Looking for a way to take your sales process to the next level? Visit us at loveyoursales.com to find out more about how Leighann can take your organization to new revenue heights. And be sure to join us next time for more great ways to love your customers so they love your sales.